Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of Sunday Spotlight. With me, fearless co-founder, Sizzle, special guest, Skye Cavern's Library, Peter Lane, writer, creator. Am I right there, sir?
Yeah, writer, creator, try hard.
Fantastic.
All of the above.
Try. All right, man. Let's loosen up. Let's do some quick fire questions here. Favorite color?
Yep. Red.
What are you reading / collecting at the moment?
Mainly Valiant titles, and I'm reading Shine of the Moon by John Lowry and a few other Aussie books.
Very cool. Are you a summer or a winter man?
Winter.
Day or night?
Night.
Favorite drink?
Definitely not. Monster Gold.
Monster Gold. Classy. This one I've had to tailor a bit. Usually it's just for the artist. Favorite scenarios to write or least favorite to write?
Favorite scenario to write? Or least favorite?
Or it could be type of genre if you prefer, type of character.
Well, I haven't really had a go at writing romance yet, so maybe that would be a bad one to write. Yeah.
Neither have I. Maybe we need to challenge ourselves there.
Yeah.
Maybe
I'll give it a shot.
Pose. Yeah. I don't see where romance would fit into any of my comics. It's literally called Foes. The whole premise is they hate each other. And the other comic is about a trial. Now, it can be a bonding.
Maybe there could be a scenario where they accidentally have a love potion and fall in love or something.
That could get me cancelled real quick. Well, I think romance would fit in nicely with Skye. I think there's definitely potential there, though.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of romance in the future. You never know.
That's the beauty of the premise of your comic, man. It can go anywhere. It's great.
Yeah, thanks.
It
It certainly leaves it open. Like I can tell almost any story in any genre. So if I get a bit bored, I can do a horror one week, or I can do a sci-fi another week, or yeah.
That must be pretty liberating.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Sometimes overwhelming, sometimes liberating.
Yeah, it's funny how that can happen. Too many options is not always a good thing.
No.
All right, let's dive in. Have you always been a creative guy? Have you always been writing or scribbling or?
I think since I was 8 years old, I've been fairly creative. That's when I started reading comic books. Around life is when I was doing a writer's college and all that kind of stuff, so I took it more seriously at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm fairly creative, somewhat.
Were you the kind of kid that would write weird short stories in class, that kind of thing? That was very much me.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
A bit.
That's cool. That seems to be a healthy starting point for a lot of creators.
So I did have a stab at artwork at some point.
That's cool. Just to explain to the listeners, there is a slight delay with our guest's visual, his camera, but you should be able to hear him just fine. So if you see him it looks like he's taking an extra long time to ponder, it's not that. Well done. That was timed brilliantly. So you've touched on it before. What training have you got as a writer? Are you mostly self-taught or?
Well, like I mentioned, I was in a writer's workshop, Certificate 4. That was in the early 90s. And that's actually where I came up with the idea for Skye originally, the Cavern Library and all that jazz. So ever since that point, I kind of got involved in writing. And when I left there, I wrote for Impress and Beat magazine as well. So I did a little bit of interviews with a few celebrities and musicians and stuff. Did a few articles, and and then I kind of ventured back into comic book. Took me a little while, but I got back into it eventually.
That's good. So you're kind of written for really a bit of everything. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, a lot of varied topics in writing for music magazines, and a few music CD reviews that a few people didn't like.
You find writing for a lot of different types of things, like sort of journalism, reviews, comics, do they help each other? Is it all good practice?
Oh yeah, it's all good practice. It's all writing. It's all practicing your craft. So it all helps, whether it's fiction or non-fiction. It all helps at the end of the day. Certainly, yeah.
That's certainly what I find between my comic work and my graphic design work. It's almost like using different parts of the creative brain to get it done. They're both satisfying on different levels, I find. So that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you had to, how would you define a creative person? Would you say there's a requirement to being a creative person, or is it more of a free-for-all?
Just as long as you have an imagination, I think.
Imagination, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's important. Without imagination, you won't get far.
I think that's definitely where you have to start.
Yeah, definitely. And I think most people do. It's not it's not a special ability, I don't think. I think a lot of people have enough of an imagination to kickstart a bit of writing.
If you meet someone that has zero imagination, I'd be wary of that person because they're probably a robot.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Or a sociopath.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me, when you start writing, where do you begin? Have you got journals that are full of just random notes? Do you start with quite a strong structure with your stories? Is it just an idea and you jot it down?
Yeah, with say Skye, it's mainly an idea. I'll come up with, have I written a story about a cowboy or a western or anything like? So he could go a book about westerns and
cool.
Meet say Rick McClune or something like that and go on a little adventure. Other things come to me at the worst of times, like when I'm meant to be doing other things. An idea will pop into my head. Like say, or I'm drifting off to sleep. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
That's a big one.
You flick the light switch off and then, I've got an idea. I've got to get up. Yeah. But it's easier. It's easier when you got your mobile phone or something near your bed. You can just type it in there, then drift back off to sleep.
Have you ever had that? You thought you've had a golden idea, and then you wake up the next morning and go, oh, yeah, let's dive into this. And it just says something like ladders, and it's completely nonsensical. No. I've had ideas before.
Yeah. I've had ideas before where I've written out a couple of pages of this awesome idea, and I've come back to it in a few weeks' time and gone, no, that's crap.
Yeah. It is amazing. In the heat of you get so excited. I've done that before and written 3 pages of a premise, and then a week later, oh no, that's actually a Simpsons episode. I haven't created a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as you move a few pieces around and change a few names.
You can always cherry pick. Right? Yeah, Stephen King said a good premise is not one idea, it's 2 ideas colliding.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's very true. So you never know where a good story is going to come from. So who are your writing influences, your inspirations?
Probably Dave Sim, Jim Shooter,
right.
J.M. DeMatteis. David Michelini. Yeah, I've got a few.
That's the underground guys. That's cool.
Mm.
Do you read them pretty often, or do you try to savor it for when you need a hit of inspiration?
I'm mainly reading. Yeah, actually, no, I do go back occasionally and read a few older issues and all that. That's a great thing about comics is back issues. You can go back and reread some classic stuff. But yeah, no, generally these days what am I collecting? Mainly Valiant comics at the moment.
Yep.
No, it's not Jim Shooter stuff at the moment, but yeah, I enjoy it. But yeah, that can change from week to week.
You've worked with a lot of different artists during Skye. Do you find your writing style has to change to accommodate different artists?
Well, I generally like to have a chat with them and find out where they're at. And that can sometimes venture into phone calls as well. Hearing what they want to do, their side of the story. I'm very open when it comes to stories. I hand them the story, and I do. This happens in scene 1. This happens in scene 2. Describe the background, what they're talking about, all that kind of jazz. But I still like to keep it somewhat open in that I'll give them the script. And then if they give me an idea and say, what if you do this instead of that? I'm definitely open to it because 9 times out of 10, the idea is, better anyway. So it can always be better. Every idea can be better. So I don't believe in closing it off and saying, this is the way I want it. It can't be any other way,
It feels good to have a kind of back and forth going too.
Yeah, collaboration is a huge thing in comic books, as you know.
Yeah.
So it's got to be a back and forth. Otherwise, you're limiting yourself.
Yeah, nothing happens in a vacuum. There's very few people that can do a perfect comic by themselves without any help.
Yeah, that's right.
Lost my notes here.
Even someone like Dave Sim had, Joe Hart in the background doing backgrounds.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you say it's better to be a good writer or an original writer?
I think good. I think it's better to be a good writer because there's hardly any original ideas these days. Anyway. So.
Yeah. And it is very frustrating to see an original premise poorly executed. That's worse than seeing just a bad movie, in my opinion.
Exactly. It's like when you get a new creative team for a comic idea that you've always loved. Say you've got Exo Man of War from Valiant. It's a great idea. It's a barbarian that gets an alien armor from Spider Aliens, and he's thrown into a time period where he knows nothing that's happening and he's still a barbarian dude living in the current times, but he's got this alien armor on. People can take that concept and either write it poorly, write it well. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Very true.
I've seen some bad Exo Man of War stories is what I'm saying.
Well, any comic goes on long enough, eventually going to hit a couple of misses.
Yeah, definitely.
So, in your opinion, what's the best trait for a writer to have? Is it perseverance? Is it confidence? What would you say?
All of the above. Definitely in the Australian scene, I think you need perseverance and confidence.
Yes.
Oh, maybe, yeah, a little bit. You need at least a little bit of confidence to push your idea out there. Do things like this. Get up on the screen, and tell people.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. That might be the biggest step for a lot of indie creators to take it from ideas in your head to really go out, network, show it off, and it's a hard one to make. It's not always easy, especially if you've created. Then you go back and look at your old stuff. It can be hard, but you push through it. You just do it, don't you?
Yep. Keep pushing.
That's it.
Because at the end of the day, you're kind of doing it for yourself, aren't you? Everyone else is just a bonus.
That's right. You've been writing Skye for a while. You mentioned it before. How's your writing process changed way back in the 90s till now? Have you refined it a lot more? Is it much the same? Or
Oh yeah, but back in the 90s, I wasn't the greatest when I was starting off. Admittedly, I don't think anyone is. You're full of confidence back then. You think, oh yeah, I've got some brilliant ideas, blah blah. You look at it 20 years later, and you're like, that's a little off. I can probably refine that. I've actually written up a timeline now, which I think is a lot better than what something that I'd written back then could have ever been, which is good. Life experience, all that kind of jazz. And but also like collaborating with artists, like even now, like collaborating with Jason Paulos. He was completely upfront with me and what he didn't like and what he liked, and I really appreciated that. Sometimes you do need someone to give you a hard, what's
for
the
sure.
word for it? Hard word, hard conversation, and let you know exactly where you're going right and where you're going wrong. I think it all helps, and once your ego gets a little bit bruised or whatever, you kind of brush it off and then go, you know what, I think he was right about that, and the story becomes better, I think.
Well, definitely. Once you reframe criticism as constructive in your head, you can only go up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And it's really important to learn how to hear criticism and how to give criticism as well.
Most definitely. Yeah. Most definitely.
Absolutely vital. And, Jason Paulos has been in the biz for how long? One of our most revered comic artists. If he gives you criticism, you're only going to get better by listening to him.
Exactly. Like every time he would give me a bit of advice, you just remind yourself exactly what you said. He's been doing this for who knows how long, decades, and he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing, so
that's it, man.
It's worth it to have a listen.
So tell me about your workspace. You got a little office there? Do you work off a little desk on your lap? Do you break into people's homes? How do you get into the...
Oh yeah, no, I definitely break into people's homes and steal their beer and sit on the couch and kick back. No. I just stick the laptop on my knees, which is probably bad, and just go from there.
Anywhere, anytime, you can just jump in. That's cool.
Yeah. Or the iPad as well. Sometimes I pull out the iPad. Especially like I said, when I'm drifting off to bed, I'll come up with an idea and pull the iPad out and just start plugging away.
So the next question is tools of the trade. So you seem to work mostly digital on you've mentioned your phone before and your tablet. That's what you mostly write on?
Yeah, it used to be years ago. As you said, I started this whole thing in the late 90s. So back then it would always be a notepad with a pen and I'd have to walk around with that all the time. And but now, modern age, pull out the mobile phone, little notepad, bang, off you go, off to the races.
And what does a writing session look like for you? Do you have scheduled times in the day? Is it whenever it hits you, whenever you have free time?
Whenever, exactly. Those last two, whenever I have free time. And like I said, inspiration can hit any time during the day. There's no specific time. I can't mark it off in my calendar. So, whenever it hits.
There definitely seems to be two types of creators. The ones who need a set time and place. And when they're in that time and place, they're in the zone. And others, it's a complete free-for-all. It's, I'll write till 3 a.m., whatever. I'll write during work. It's really interesting to get into.
Yeah. I mean, the world would be boring if we were all the same, eh?
It'd make my job easier. Copy, paste. See you next week. But I wouldn't watch it. So we did touch on this as well, but where do you find most of your ideas come to you? Is it when you're nodding off or in the shower or
anywhere? It can be anywhere. I like drifting off, sitting in front of the TV. Sometimes I'll be sitting watching a movie in the cinema and then, I've got an idea. Toilet break, So it could be anywhere.
That's cool. How do you find your characters' voices when you're writing? they're very distinctive when I'm reading them. They really do feel like well-rounded characters. I can hear them in my head very clearly. Have you based them off anyone, or is it a matter of reading it back to yourself until you sort of hit it, or?
I think we all have life experiences as we're going along, and everyone we meet, we might get some ideas off. We've got characters in our day-to-day life, and
true,
inevitably you're going to have some of those characters jump onto the page and then jump back off the page.
Well, it's the one I work in customer service as sort of my day job, and at the very least, it is good for character fodder. You do come up with a lot.
Oh yeah.
Anytime you meet a local weirdo, you get really excited. Like, with the character.
I used to work at a well-known pawn shop, PAWN, by the way. Yeah, a well-known one around the Knox area. You could probably put 2 and 2 together. Starts with C. And I got a lot of interesting characters in there.
I bet you did. My good, yeah. So, as a writer, are there any bad habits that you've overcome? And how did you do so?
Sleep. That's a bad habit. I can't get anything done.
Too much or not enough?
No, really. I can't think of any bad habits. I think, it's everything's a learning experience.
What about writer's block?
Yes. Occasionally, I think everyone will get writer's block. Being a writer,
usually a sign you just need to relax.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone for quite a while without getting an idea before, but then I find, like an avalanche, they'll all come to me all at once.
Yeah.
So I'll be writing a whole bunch, all at once.
Break.
But lately, I've found, I don't know, for whatever reason, I've been getting a ton, just consistently. So, yeah, that's always a good thing.
Yeah. So, do you have someone, a significant other or a writing partner that helps you bounce ideas off or edits your work for you, or?
Yes, actually, I do. I've got my wife. My wife edits my work because she's actually a professional editor herself.
Right.
So that's handy. And she'll also tell me, where ideas might not be so great, and I might want to change some things, which, as a writer, you should always be open to.
Definitely.
Yeah.
My partner does the same for me because she's not a comic reader.
Yeah.
And she's more literate than me. So best of both worlds. If the comic makes sense to her, it'll make sense to anyone.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a very similar situation with me. She's not a comic fan at all.
It helps, yeah.
Which helps a lot.
So when you're about to write, you seem like a pretty spontaneous kind of creator. Do you have any little rituals or habits that you like to do while you're writing?
Rituals.
Sometimes some writers have to have Stephen King has a unlit cigarette on his ashtray that he never touches. He just has to have it next to him.
I don't have any rituals per se. Maybe a few satanic rituals, but that's about it.
We've all killed a goat for inspiration, people. Let's try and keep it interesting. Do you work on just one issue at a time when you're writing, or do you have a few scripts going at any given time?
Oh no, generally I have about 3 or 4 going at once. Especially, as you said, because I work with a lot of different artists. I like to have a few different things going at once. But at the same time, I like to maintain a continuity there, of course. So fingers crossed it all works in the end. But having an editor, again, will definitely help with that. Continuity aspects and all that jazz.
I've lost my place. That's cool, though. It's good to know. So when you edit, how long do you spend on that? Do you spend just as long as you spend writing the script, or?
Yeah. About the same length of time. It's mainly Sarah that does the editing, but I do spend a little bit of time as well overlooking it before I hand it off. Yeah, probably the same amount of time, I'd say.
Talking to Jason Paulus before, and criticism. What's the best bit of criticism or encouragement you've ever gotten?
Well, best bit of encouragement I've gotten has just been from customers that have read the book. They've sent me messages and told me that they're enjoying it, and that's all that's all I can really ask for. You know what I mean? As long as they enjoy it, I'm happy. Like I said, I'm mainly writing it for myself anyway, and if they enjoy it as well, then it's great.
It is a great read.
Yeah.
If anyone's watching who hasn't read it, buy a copy. Do yourself a favor.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, do we stock it?
Sorry, what was that?
Do we stock it at the ComX store?
We have 2 issues left.
There you go. Go straight there now.
Sold out of the Jason Paulos cover, but we have, Sizzle has more of cover B in the store. Like you said, 2 copies. So, yeah, still available.
And I was lucky enough to do
criticism, sorry. Sorry,
I was lucky enough to do the Vivian Skye crossover cover, or a variant. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I had good fun drawing
really,
Skye.
Really
He's a great little character. And I've drawn Vivian a number of times. I had good practice with him.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, I really like it. It's an awesome cover.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was a nice surprise to get in my little inbox.
I'm glad. You don't want to hear the other one. Oh, you sent me some art. Okay, that's great.
No, I like 99.9% of the time, I love what artists sent me. So, yeah, it's a really nice surprise.
So, do you have a day job that helps fund your creative side, or are you lucky enough to be doing this sort of thing all the time?
Well, I'm a multi-millionaire living in my man. No.
We'll talk afterwards. Cool.
Yeah, no, I've got a day-to-day job. It's general kind of admin, which I've been doing for about 16 years. So, yeah.
Oh wow.
Do you find that sort of thing? I find it helps me because I can switch off the creative side, do something else. And it just gives that side of my brain a rest when because that part works overtime. Does it work the same for you, or are you there just resenting the hell out of it the whole time?
That's fine. Like you said,
unless your co-workers are watching you. Wink if you do resent it, but can't say.
I love where I work. It's a lovely place. Yeah.
We all saw it. So, this is a loaded question, but how far is Skye going to go? How many issues can we hope to see?
I'm hoping for 25, but if it reaches 50, that'll be great.
That would be great for everyone.
Nice.
But we'll see. I don't want to make any promises because who knows what's going to happen in
well, that's true.
Many years time. But the aim at the moment is 25 issues.
Nice target.
Who would be the dream person to work with? Who would be the dream artist?
Dream artist? Oh, Arthur Adams.
Ooh, good choice.
If not Arthur Adams, Mike Deck.
Oh. Can you hear him, Sid?
Oh, there you go.
They're back. Good.
Yeah.
All right, cool. That's all the questions I've got.
Art Adams on Mike.
Art Adams is great. I've got I was lucky enough to get a few Star Wars trading cards off him recently. Not off him directly, but of his art. Always recommend.
Yeah, he's an
really
awesome
cool,
artist.
Fun style.
So detailed.
Yes.
I think he'd do a nice Skye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd allow it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks, Peter.
Question I've got. Any questions from the audience?
Just
Got a few people jumping on now, which is cool.
No, we've just got hellos.
That's all right. Hi, everyone. What about you, Sis?
Absolutely anything. I'm an open book.
I'll put you in the hot seat.
Hey, I'm cheating, and you've already asked all the questions that I'm cheating from. I don't know. Can you tell us one of the current stories, maybe? Any?
Yeah.
Any
teasers? Something you want to plug?
Any teasers? Yeah.
I mentioned Rick McClune before. I actually wrote a little short story with Dave Dye, and we collaborated on a Skye Rick McClune story, which will be in Skye's Cavern Library issue 3. Also working with Rob Lyle at the moment. Sorry, what was that?
More comic creating royalty there, Spedsy and Dave Dye.
Yep. Rob Lyle's helping to put everything together, all the lettering, all kind of thing. He's also, what was that question? When are you doing a Rick McClune story?
Yeah, I think that's what you already just answered. So.
When are you doing
Wow, psychic.
Yeah. Skye's Cavern Library issue 3. It's coming out. Dave Dye on the artwork. It's a fun little story. But yeah, Spedsy's doing a few little things. March.
Oh,
early
nice.
March.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Lee, you've got your own show to host, mate. Why are you?
Yeah, I was going to say, Lee's throwing questions now.
It's fine.
Yes, I do have an appearance lined up. If you go to, it's on Whitehall Road. I can't remember the name of the event, but if you go to the Skye's Cavern Library Facebook page, I've got all the news details there. I always keep that updated. So if you do facebook.com/Skye's Cavern Library, you'll find all the details there.
Awesome.
Yeah. Also, as well, I'll mention that even though issue 3 is coming up and issue 4 is yet to be done, issue 5 is completed, and it will be a crossover between Hairbutt the Hippo and Skye's Cavern Library.
That's pretty cool.
Really working with the greats. That's so good.
which kind of spins me out, because I remember when I was young picking up Hairbutt the Hippo from my local news agency.
Yeah,
so
same.
To be working with Jason Paulos on a Hairbutt the Hippo crossover kind of blew my mind.
My favorite part of Mad Magazine back in the day, Hairbutt.
Yeah, nice. I just like to watch on set. To each their own, Lee.
Well, if I had to ask a question, my question would be, where can we find your comics, Peter? Apart from ComX Shop,
I do shows.
We only have 2. Where can we get more?
Yep. Well, I'll be sending you more of issue 2, so you'll be able to stock and 3 as well.
Cool.
Also, shows. Whenever I'm at a show, you can find them there. I do actually like to keep the print runs fairly low, so I don't want to, be sitting on piles and piles of them. That's kind of why I go through a few different printings. But mainly shows, ComX Shop, Reverie Shop. That's around. Or you can personally order it from myself. If you send me a message on Facebook, I'll be more than happy to send you the deets.
That's how I got them.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I think that's all from us then.
Excellent.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. It was great chatting.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome, as usual.
I can't wait to read more of your stuff. Huge fan.
Thanks.
And let's work on that faux Skye crossover soon.
It'll happen. It will happen.
Fantastic. Right.
And I'll do my bit.
Yeah.
Remember to like and subscribe to the channel and the video. And remember, we have other shows on this channel. We have the Tuesday Chinwag. We have the ComX Show on a Wednesday night. We have Friday night Drink and Draw. And, of course, next Sunday we'll be back again on the show.
Fantastic. Do you want to throw up the quote?
Yep, you ready for that? Okay.
We like to end with a quote here from someone much smarter and more accomplished than myself. But by saying it, I seem smart.
Okay.
If you're functional, it doesn't matter if you're mad, by Alan Moore. If you have to ask who he is, you have no business in comics. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
Well, hang
Much
on, we've got
appreciated.
showing off his book. Nice.
Yeah, always plug that. Oh, wait, one last question from the audience. One last question from the audience here.
Oh,
Dave.
I didn't see that.
This can be our outro.
You have an interest in the occult. I guess Skye's premise is basically. Oh, you might find out the answer to that in future issues.
Ooh.
Oh.
That's all I'll say.
There you go, Dave. Thank you, Nick.
Because there's a bit of magic involved with Skye's Cavern Library. And, his backstory, I hope, is fairly interesting. But, yeah, you might find some answers to your questions there.
Fantastic.
Sweet.
All right.
Looking forward to
Good
it.
note to end on.
On that note, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Peter, for being on the show. Thank you, Peter, for hosting the show. We got the two Peters. Nice. And see you all next week.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.